What's up, everybody? This is Terry here with another episode of All Around Advanced, the #1 show where you'll find out all the happenings, all the shenanigans that are going on in RGL Season 5 Advanced this season. Once again, shout out to Cap and Fappin for that excellent intro. Like I said, I am Terry, and tonight we are joined by the one, the only, the demo man of Lobsters.tf, Oni. How are you doing tonight?
Good, Terry. Thanks for having me here. I'm doing well. It's a pretty quiet Sunday night for me, and I'm excited to go into some RGO Advanced news.
Yeah, let's get it. So, without further ado, let me hope I can do the screen switching properly because last week had a little bit of a hilarious hiccup. But there we go. Let's scroll in a little bit. So another week of Advanced is in the books. We just had Metalworks week. But before we get into those matches specifically, there has been a non-stop flurry of actions to quickly gloss over at the very least. So to start, we will mention the player changes. So a couple of teams have decided to switch some classes around. We got on gaming, we have Scream, aka Drums, who was playing Roamer. He's going to be on Scout. Frick my Nick, the longtime soldier, back in his old gunboats position. After, I guess, what was it, Villa? Yeah, after Villa, they decided to make that switch. And then very similarly, on Dynasty, Kobe 1920 moved over to Scout. And then Clarence, or Q, as he's also called, he's going to be playing Pocket now. And then in more recent news, Honey Bacon Club will actually be losing Kutch Kutch moving forward. And so I believe it's just some real life situation that's been going on. So he's unable to commit to the rest of the season. And they will have their backup Dit will be coming off the bench, and he'll be playing Combo Scout for them moving forward. So those are the players that are kind of still on the shuffle, but a couple of teams made new roster transactions as well. Yas team, Cap and Fappin's team, they have departed with Tulaman, and they have picked up Ili. I believe they are aliased as K2 right now on their roster. So trading out a scout for a scout. So kind of a simple plug-in replacement, so to speak. St. Jude's, the cadet team, they have lost their demo man Sale, and then they have picked up Denisovich to replace him, and then they are also going to be looking for a medic. So that team not quite done playing the roster musical chairs, but hopefully they'll get that sorted out, especially on a week like Viaduct. Have you scrimmed the St. Jude's roster prior to this? I know you guys had a match, right?
We haven't played a match against them. We have scrimmed them numerous times, and they're pretty good. I would say. Uh, with the departure of Sale and Denisovich picking up the reins, I know Denisovich probably doesn't have as much experience as Sale, but having scrimmed him in the past, he seems like a very good demo man, up and coming. It'd definitely be a good addition to the team.
Yeah, I was actually just trying to load up his page to figure out a little bit more about this guy. Looks like he was on the Tulkas team in Maine this season before they died, and then he was on the Tulkas team in Season 4 when they had the much better alias of Bingo Night Esports LLC. I don't know how you go from Bingo Night Esports LLC to Cuban Ball Tulkas, but I let Tulkas know that that was a huge-ass downgrade. And then he played on a team called Kazakhstan Gaming in Season 3 Intermediate, so this guy's got a rich team name history, and we love to see that.
Very
Um,
much so.
so this will be his first season in Advanced, outside of any potential ESTA experience he might have under his belt. So we will see what Denisovich can bring to the table for St. Jude's on Demo Man. Um, and then moving right along, we have Dior Addicts, the Cavito team. They have obviously had their share of roller coaster of stuff happening with this roster, but from what Aimer told me, things are gonna solidify a little bit now. They've lost Anthony, and they have picked up Rick Riccatoni in his place. So I don't know. Rick is definitely a more experienced player compared to Anthony, so I'm sure those will be an upgrade, and it's going to be a good time to break in a new player on a map like Viaduct, where it's crazy DM fights all over the place.
Yeah, for sure. I know Anthony was definitely one of the best scouts in main last season, and though he will be missed, I think Rick has more experience, and I've seen him in pugs absolutely popping off. So
That's right. He was on the team that won main last season, right? On Obese Whales with Blizz and
Yep.
Asterisk and them. And then the final team to talk about is Rock Bottom here. Again, unfortunately, this season has had a handful of teams still be, I guess, struggling, for the lack of a better word, finalizing their rosters and lineups. And from what I have heard from Alfredo Dan, it was that they had to say goodbye to Soyant, but then Alfredo Dan also left the roster, so I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. But we'll have to see. I mean, again, with only 4 remaining players paid up, they do have at least one match lined up this week against the Cap and Fappin team. So, I mean, I don't know. We'll just have to see. All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes of. Oh, how? No, no, no! I am getting ahead of myself, ladies and gentlemen. How could we forget the exciting news about predatory lending practices?
Yes.
Everyone's favorite power ranker on TFTV, Winged Bacon. He's coming back. He's bringing the squad. The box tap revival is coming to an advanced division near you soon because RGL limits roster transactions per week, but it'll be a slow and steady process. And Wabakan, he is back. He's going to be bringing his boys Golden, just recently departed from HR Team and Invite. Lucrative, just recently departed from Quad Damage and Invite. So the band is getting back together again. Flescore in the wings, Owen and Zia in the wings. They obviously will have to, I guess, for the lack of a better word, suffer through this 2-4 record that predatory lending practices currently have. However, again, they're only one game off from being 500. And like I've said time and time again, and will continue to say time and time again, this division is all up in the air. So they could go on a winning streak once their whole gang is assembled. And again, this was the team that placed second in Season 4 Div 2. So, definitely not to underestimate them by any stretch of the imagination. What do you think about this hijack, this situation that's going on? Give me some of your thoughts, Obi.
Yeah. So Joey Bacon and the rest of the officers are pretty close, and we've also been talking to Golden a lot. It appears that Golden is coming down from Invite, but he seems to want to go back to his roots, as some of you might have seen the meme Rico posted in TFTV.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
That's a pretty good Thanos meme, but I think it's gonna be pretty interesting. I think their goal is to really have fun and play together. They've already had a season under their belt, going second in Div 2 last season, so I think what they might not sure how serious they'll be taking the season, given like the record already, but I'm sure they'll be putting in some of the work, and their goal is to really just have fun, I think.
Yeah, no, the thing with the box tap, right, was like last season, Bacon kind of whipped up that roster last minute, and then they had a hell of a
Hmm.
great season. So now this season, obviously it's a little late with when it's actually being assembled, but, they could go on a very similar run, and you never know. You really just don't, especially in this division and how competitive it is. So, all right, let's get to talking about some Metalworks games. I'll go over some quick ones first. Cat Posse versus Team Solo. Unfortunately, it was not much of a contest, as y'all can see here. It was a 5-0. It was very short and sweet, and Cat Posse took care of business. You can see the stats here. Shining Star, 15-4. Kurama, 14-2. They just kind of ate everybody alive, really. Bacon says next time I'm reforming the team before the roster lock deadline. Yeah, I didn't watch this game on my Friday afternoon watch party with a bunch of matches because I mean it's a 5-0 in 12 minutes. I didn't really think there was going to be much to see. These rounds, as you can also see here, I mean the longest one lasted 6 minutes, and then the other ones were less than 2 minutes. So those are just mid to lasts, pretty straightforward. Where are the other ones? Why can't I find them? This was the Honey Bacon Club versus Cat Posse. This was the matchup of, again, a couple of the remaining undefeated teams. First half was a bit of a snooze fest, much to Kurama and Toss and Rasta Ronald telling me while I was watching their game. But then the second half picked up. Toss got crazy good bombs. They had very, very aggressive mids. And taking the W and improving, most importantly, I guess, improving to 6-0 on the season. And with the way the scheduler plays out, they won't be seeing either of those teams until playoffs, really. So if you're looking at the betting favorite right now, I mean, Cat Posse have kind of laid it out all there for you guys. Have you guys scrimmed Cat Posse at all lately? And what are your thoughts on their, I guess, Metalworks results?
Um, we haven't really scrimmed Cat Posse much at all, but I do remember ring for a team against them in very, very early preseason. They were already pretty solid by then. I'm sure their chemistry has just improved by leaps and bounds since then. So, and their Metalworks games are pretty much testament to that. Like they've been pretty solid all around. And though they had a little bit of struggle the first half against the Honey Bacon Club, they brought it back really strong in the second half, and I think they'll be really, really difficult to take down uh, in the coming matches.
Yeah, they definitely. I mean, again, they've kind of proven they're the class of the division right now. All their players extremely, extremely solid, and I believe I alluded to this or mentioned this last week. Is that like Shining Star planned for this team to be revived like halfway through season 4, and like had everybody on board. The only late change was having to pick up Kurama to replace Ghetto Chungus or Nattleby. So they are a very, very like solid team, and they're going to continue to show it. Moving right along though, let's talk about Lobsters.tf because they had one hell of a week. Two very, very close games. One dub, one L. Let's go with the dub first, if you don't mind. This was against Gaming, so we talked about their recent roster switch. They put Nick on Soldier. They put Scream on Scout. Yeah, just give me your thoughts. How did you guys approach this match?
Yeah, so we knew Metalworks was going to be really difficult facing gaming and Team Saloon, so we just our mentality going in was to really get as many rounds as possible. We weren't really looking for any dubs necessarily or anything, just any round taken will be useful for the playoffs game, and I think that's how we played. And I think our strategy was to really focus on mids against on Metalworks especially, and use those mids to take last pushes. So mids and last pushes were what we focused on, and you can probably see some of the results in those logs right there. A lot of reviewing going on, and I guess early on we went up a little bit, and then they brought back a little bit later, and then we just went on. Took the game home in the second half.
Yeah, no. So I mean, very similar theme to a couple of the Metalworks matches. Like first half was kind of like momentum for one or both teams, and then the second half kind of slowed the game down to a little bit of a crawl, as some might like or not like to say. But yeah, you guys said mid fights were a point of emphasis, and it clearly paid off because 6-3, that's a very, very solid ratio. And again, the game's slowness is clearly depicted in the DPM, but like I said, there was a lot of action back and forth, especially when I was just watching the game from a third person perspective. But I mean, look at your scouts, the Great Mage, and Ally, 39 frags, 40 frags. That is a lot of scout cleanup. I'm sure it makes your job as a demo man very easy, knowing like I just do my damage, then both my scouts are there as a cleanup crew, right?
Exactly. I think both of our scouts kind of popped off this Metalworks week, and I'm sure the Great Mages have already been making waves since last week with his up and coming fan club, which I'm gonna talk about a little bit later on. But
Let's go. Hashtag the Great Mage fans. We almost all
yeah,
unite. But yeah, I mean, this was a very, very good game. Very, very close. And like you said, as we talk about your next game, which was against TS you didn't quite win this one, which is obviously unfortunate. But like you said, getting rounds is going to be very, very important. So I mean, losing by only one round is basically the best you could ask for in a loss. And again, look at your scouts. The Great Mage almost had 50 frags. Jesus, 258 DPM as well, which was almost tops in the server, if not for Tresh on Demo Man. Um, yeah, I mean, I also watched this game on my stream, and it was a 3-1 half for the team, and then the second half was just like a little bit of a slog, like teams just fighting back and forth. You can see it here. The logs are reversed here, but it was a 28, almost 29-minute round in the second half, which you guys took, and then obviously time expired, and you couldn't quite tie it up and force a golden cap. But I feel like you guys are what's the word? Very satisfied with your Metalworks results. I feel like that's a great momentum boost heading into Viaduct.
for sure, for sure. Yeah, I would definitely Mage went off the rockers here and absolutely barreled through the enemy team. I think for the rest of us, though, we definitely struggled a little bit against their soldiers, especially the first half. I was just getting completely shut down on mids. But I think on the transitions, a mage, the way he plays is just very, very aggressive and taking a lot of DM fights, which works out to him really well. Like mage is definitely not to be slept on.
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure after the your team's first 6 matches, there are plenty of people who know the Great Mage's name. The last match that I want to talk about on Metalworks is not this one. What the heck? There we go. This was I by Winrar going up against the Portland Burnsiders. Burnsiders had a really good Metalworks week, kind of rebounding from their slowish start to the season. Picked up 2 quality wins here. I guess I forgot to save my notes about this match because it seemed like at the start Fig was again dying a little bit too much, whether it was their own mistakes or Squiddy just dropping them in Ubers. I can't remember if it was this game or if it was actually. Oh no, it was your game where the demo man Tresh jumped in with an Uber and then immediately got headshot as the Uber got taken off of him, which was hilarious. But yeah, so a little bit of a miscommunication slash mistakes from Fig and Squiddy disconnect there, but then they kind of cleaned it up in the second half, and then picked up a quality win. Again, as we can see here now, Burnsiders sit at 4-2, and I mean, the only other real story was Goblin Zone. They also rebounded from their poor Snakewater performances, and they're now up to 4-2. They ran a ton of off-class stuff. Cap'n Fappin told me that they ran double Pyro against them on Metalworks, and then they got destroyed. As in, Captain Fappin's team got destroyed, which is, I guess, be prepared if you're matched up against Goblin Zone this week. They might pull out some crafty little tricks. But yeah, as you can see here, Cat Posse, the only remaining undefeated team. 4 other teams with positive records, but then everybody else is, again, in that 3-3 to 2-4 range. Let's count them up here now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 teams at 3-3. Another 3 teams at 2-4, just 1 game behind. So as these matches continue to shake up, all those wins, all those rounds are going to be ever more important. So now let's talk about Viaduct Week, because it's coming up, and this is obviously a classic. Capture the point, hold the point for 3 minutes, and you win. So I think some of the more important matches this week: Honey Bacon Club versus Team Solo these 2 teams both suffered losses to Cat Posse on Metalworks, but now they're back. They're going to be playing each other now, perhaps vying for second to try and make a claim that we're the second best team in the division. What do you think about this matchup?
Yeah, so it seems Cat Posse versus Portland Burnsiders. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really see. Unfortunately, Portland Burnsiders taking away the dub. It seems Cat Posse is just very, very strong all around, and every single player on that team has very good mechanics. So it will be quite difficult for them to do much about that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, scouts on Koth is extremely, extremely important. So, we're looking at a scout matchup there of Shining Star and Yum Yum versus Yerb and RPC. So, you have to just hand the advantage to the Cat Posse scouts, but who knows, they might just go on that DM grind and turn up really, really well for the match. And then the other game, Artist versus Tresh on Demo Man on Koth. As a fellow demo man yourself, what do you think about Artist's ability to just drop like 450 damage per minute, kind of whenever he wants to?
Yeah, Artist is definitely quite a good demo man. Last season he won demo man of the season in Div 2, and very much deserved. I don't think there's a single person who would disagree with that. I think at least looking from logs, the way that team plays is to basically just tank Artist and have him absolutely destroy everything he sees. And I think as good as Tresh is, it'll be a little bit very difficult for them to be able to surmount that unless they maybe shoot the players aside from him they're not being tanked. I think that might be a good strategy to go for.
Yeah, and Hunter 2.0 in the chat, reminding everybody what we already know, with Kutch having to step down, Dit coming in. That's going to obviously be a new wrinkle as well, because breaking in a new scout. Again, I feel like a King of the Hill map is pretty much the ideal situation to, give it a little of a test run, so to speak, as grind out that communication, that synergy, especially because he's playing combo, right? So that synergy between Dit, Artis, and Ronald is going to be very, very important. And then on the other side, Reno is a little bit, for the lack of a better word, inexperienced compared to the other players on her team, slash maybe even in that match specifically. But Medic on King of the Hill is certainly a pretty stressful situation to be in sometimes. So we'll see how that match stacks up. The other game I wanted to highlight was I by Winrar. Where is this? I by Winrar versus, oh look at this, Lobsters.tf. Like we said, you guys have had a hell of a start to your season. Perhaps in the eyes of I by Winrar, there might be, their record might be a little less than desired compared to what they wanted to, but I feel like this is going to be a very, very important match for both of you guys. If you were to say pick a single player on I by Winrar that you really need to be careful of, let's take out Air, because I feel like Air is the cop out answer, right? Like obviously he's the combo scout for that team. He does a lot. He's been playing this game for a long time. Has hell of DM talent. But outside of Air, give me a player in I by Winrar that you're going to be, maybe not focused on, but just like keeping tabs.
I would say Grape Juice. He has a lot of experience, and I think at the higher up you go on cloth maps, the more soldiers make an impact. I know in lower divs, it's mainly just scouts and occasionally demo men who do the work. But as we go up, I think we're going to be having an eye on their soldiers, making sure we keep tabs on them, and that's definitely something we'll be looking into.
Yeah, Grape Juice had very solid metalwork showing, despite, I know in one game, I already can't remember which one exactly that I watched, but he had like 4 straight lives where he either forced or dropped the medic, and that's pretty good stats to show up that don't, well, that's pretty good stats that don't necessarily show up on logs.tf. So this will be a hell of a game for sure. If I don't know if we'll have casters around, or like if orgs will be around to do it. I feel like this could be definitely one of the games of the week, along with Honey Bacon Club versus Team Solo. But while we're still here, Oni, why don't you take a look at the other matches? Maybe either from week 4B or week 4A. What other games look enticing to you? I'll take a gander here.
Dynasty versus Gaming seems to be a pretty interesting matchup from my perspective.
Ooh.
Those teams seem pretty even.
Yeah, in fact, there's a lot of parallels, right? Both these teams just made a recent roster shuffle, putting certain players on Scout, putting certain players on Soldier. The demo man for Dynasty is Zabumafu, correct? So it's going to be Zabumafu versus Sleepy on Koth. That's gonna be an interesting battle, I think.
For sure.
And then on the other hand, you have Kobe 1920, just recently onto Scout versus Scream, just recently back to his main on Scout as well. The Medics, Ben versus Zoomzy. Medic is always an important player always, but doubly so on King of the Hill, where you gotta stay alive, you gotta maintain that Uber advantage, gotta be able to dish heals out, otherwise your players are gonna be hurting for packs all over the place. But yeah, that's a great game that you pointed out as well. And then the only other one that I'm really looking at is Honey Bacon Club versus Portland Birdsiders. So again, I feel like it's pretty comfortable to say that Honey Bacon are currently one of the top 3 teams, and then Portland Burnsiders are on the outside of that, along with a whole slew of other teams. But again, how are they going to measure up to Artist on Koth? Because he's pretty scary when you don't have anywhere to run from his damage output. So
Very true. I would say that Fake has enough experience which might be able to offset Artist's raw DM and raw mechanics. But I think that game could be anyone's game. It probably would depend on how well Portland Burnsiders is able to shut down the tank artist strategy from Honey Bacon Club.
yeah, and bringing up Fig is great because again, during Villa and Metalworks, we kind of saw a little bit of issues with in terms of Fig staying alive. Again, just either dying on their own or not being flashed. And if you lose your demo man in the Koth fight, that's a huge deal, and it's going to be even more of a huge deal if your demo goes down and then the other team has artist, right? So hopefully, for Burnsider's sake, they will be able to kind of polish up that disconnect between Squiddy and Fig, or just general positioning woes, and then be able to put up a good fight here. Because again, anything can happen on Viaduct. We have seen countless tales and countless matches in our history, in TF2 history, that can prove Koth is the upset format. So if there's any map to bring out perhaps your best game of the season, this might be the one that you want. Scouts and demos looking strong this season. Yeah, we have had no shortage of great play from I feel like all the classes. Again, it's been a very, very good season of Advanced so far. Hopefully, again, these teams that are a little bit teetering on the edge of death will be able to reel themselves back with some pickups, and kind of save themselves, and by proxy save the division, because right now we got 19 teams. The only casualties so far is the Reign of Light team, Eels and Escalators. We will have a little funeral procession for them at the very end, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Unfortunately, we aren't in the days of ESC8. Well, depending on your perspective, it's a good or bad thing, but we don't have any stats to dive in. But so something I did last week, I think, with Roster Ronald, was I had him pick one of the teams that are on the bubble right now, and then maybe say which one you think is due for a breakout week or could surprise people later down the line. Obviously, you are one of those teams, so I can't let you pick your own team, Oni. I can't let you do it. But out of these remaining, we'll take the 3-3 teams. Give me a team you think will turn some heads this week.
I would say, having faced them out last season, watch this is a team to watch. Get that. I think playing against Maze on Product was very difficult, and the way he took exchanges. So this team will be pretty interesting.
Yeah, watch this. Like you said, kind of proving their namesake so far. Again, pretty good start of the season by beating Goblin Zone 5-2, then a quality loss to iBuy Winrar 5-3. Looks like their Viaduct matches this week are against Gaming and Feet Picks, which is the Marty team. You have a lot more experience, like you said, scrimming against this team based on last season as well, when y'all were hanging out in Maine. What do you think? Well, why don't I do this? Between Gaming and Feet Picks, which game do you think they're more likely to win? And I guess you don't have to give it a reason why, but if you can, that'd be cool too.
My brain tells me Feet Picks, because although Feet Picks might run a Highlander Sniper and really just shut them down on Product, I don't really see. I don't think they have an Invite Sniper on their team, and I think Triple might be the closest one. But aside from that, watch this plays Product very, very, very well in terms of how they take their exchanges. And their new pickups are no slouch either. No Indie went from IM all the way to Advanced, but he's definitely making waves. And their medic, LS, he doesn't miss a surf. That's pretty vital to keep your medic alive on Product. So.
Yeah, all right, well, there you go. We'll await for those results on Thursday, and we'll see how correct / incorrect we were, as is the case when you're doing something like this. But that is pretty much it. A nice sizable chunk, 30 minutes. Chop chop. Got through all of the roster news, got through Metalworks week, talked about Viaduct week, and again, I implore every team here to stay alive, figure out your differences, talk it out like adults, because hopefully y'all are adults, and we can continue to have a very high quality season. Just some shout outs. Make sure y'all do not miss the Jamon stream this Friday, or I guess the next coming Friday, because the Season 5 Advanced Drip stream is coming. And, like Jamon said on TFTV, if y'all were slacking last week, you have a little bit of a chance to fix up your fits, because, the judges will not show any mercy if anyone tuned into the main edition of that stream. That'll be something to look out for. Um, but that again is pretty much it. Give me some shout outs, Oni. What have you got for us?
All right. Shout out to the boys and girls. You know who you are. And the biggest shout out to the Great Mage Fan Club Discord. We pop in a link in chat right now. Hopefully this link still works. But yeah, if you're a fan of the Great Mage and want to see more from him, please join this Discord.
The Great Mage, let's go!
And shout out to you guys, Terry, for scrimming us every Wednesday and being our scrim partners. Thank you for that.
Always. It's always a pleasure, especially to reminisce about the good old days with another TF2 boomer such as yourself. It's always a good time. But
Indeed.
thanks for showing up today with me, hanging out, having a great time, talking some advanced TF2. And to wrap things up, ladies and gentlemen, please, with a solemn air, pay our respects to eels and escalators. Everybody press F in the chat as I play some sad violin music, and that will wrap up our night. So until next Sunday, we'll see you then.